Well, thank you for zooming in with us as we approach the New Year's. So I hope everybody's got their plans for the holiday, and everyone's going to be safe and joyful as we approach 2026. It's going to be an interesting year. I'm Stephen Cherniske, a research biochemist, and I'm here with my wife, Dr. Natalie Kather, a double board certified family practice physician. We are members of the Zinzino Science Advisory Board, and we conduct this weekly Zoom. It's called Zinzino Science Insights because of the motto, which is if people knew better, they would do better. And we know that's to be true on so many different levels. Number one is the conscious level. As you learn more about how your body works, you make better choices. So it's conscious. That's also true at the subconscious level, which is really intriguing, which is that as we learn more about how the body works, we are normally inspired. We're inspired. We're awestruck at what a walking, breathing miracle we all are. And so subconsciously, you begin to not only make better choices, but your body, listen to this, begins to function better. Your cells literally respond to the emotion that you have, which is awe, appreciation, and gratitude. So it's really intriguing. So we think that this is something that we love doing. We think that it's beneficial on multiple different levels. We invite your questions and comments. And so let's get into it.
Well, actually, let's tell them what we're going to be getting into.
Okay.
So today the topic is blood sugar, and we're so happy to have Susan Magill join us today when we talk about the hemoglobin A1C test report, because it's an 8-page report that's based on not only the hemoglobin A1C result, but also a 24-page questionnaire that people fill out to find out more about next steps in their health and what they should think about for their metabolism.
Wonderful. Thank you. So let's get into it. Blood sugar. When you think of blood sugar, I don't want you to think of sucrose, which is what table sugar is. I want you to think of glucose, which is C6H12O6. Simple molecule, a monosaccharide. And this is the end result of the digestion of all starches that you consume. All right, so you could, whether that's the jelly donut you had for breakfast, which is like a lot of glucose, or the spaghetti you had last night, which is also what? Going to be digested into glucose, right? So we have two sources of glucose, just the normal starches and carbohydrates that are a part of your healthy diet. That's going to be reduced to glucose. And then there's the added glucose that we consume in foods that are sweetened, where there's added sugar. Now,
could be salsa.
Could be ketchup. Ketchup.
Most tomato sauce.
Yeah, most tomato sauces and ketchups have added sugar. We won't get into why that is, but it has to do with making sure that they trigger a certain sensor that you're used to equating with pleasure. Anyway, but what I want to get across here is the gravity of the situation. The gravity of the situation is how much sugar, how much glucose, in other words, do you think there is in your body? You've got about 5 liters of blood in your body, all right? Between meals, how much glucose do you think is circulating in that 5 liters of blood?
So I haven't had lunch yet.
Yeah.
So this is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
How much glucose? Total. Throughout every...
From my earlobe to my left pinky toe.
How much glucose? Are you ready? About a teaspoon. Here it is. This much glucose. Total is in your body right now, assuming that you're between meals. That's it. Now, how much glucose do you think is in the bloodstream of the average person here in the United States? So the average person on a Western diet, which is composed of primarily processed and highly processed foods.
In their bloodstream or in their diet?
In their bloodstream.
In their bloodstream between meals. Oh, so not what a healthy person has, but rather 20 times?
This is 25 times. This is 25 teaspoons of glucose. This is 25 times what your body was designed for. So now you get, oh my God, what kind of disaster is that? It's a disaster that in the beginning you don't feel it because it's silent, but it is a metabolic emergency, which is so serious that there are some populations, right, on our planet where more than 40% of adults are diabetic. The diabetes part of it is the end result. So we're not even going to be talking about diabetes. We're going to be talking about the metabolic emergency, which ultimately creates the disease called diabetes. Does that make sense? So let's get into it. What's going on? What damage is being done by all of that glucose? So it's, again, we're going to be presenting some information here. Natalie is going to include this information in her edited version, which she will post this week. If any of this is too complex for you, simply understand that you can load it. You can literally cut and paste it into any of your AI tools, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, whatever you want to use, and ask your AI to make it more simple so you can really grok this. You can really understand it.
So you can also plug it into Grok.
You can plug it into Grok. Okay, what are we looking at here?
Okay.
The damage that is being done. Let's look at it from a systems point of view. Elevated blood sugar harms many organs. Mainly does this by causing sugar damage to cells and blood vessels, often through inflammation and molecules called AGEs, or advanced glycation end products. Glycation, that is the word which deals with how sugar mucks up other proteins in your body.
It's like frosting on the protein.
Yes, so we're going to be talking at the end of this presentation, my little lesson here, we're going to be talking about hemoglobin A1C, which is measuring how much of your hemoglobin molecules are being mucked up by sugar being attached to their surface. Now, the big picture, what high blood sugar does, makes the body cells less responsive to insulin. So that's called insulin resistance. It stresses and damages the cells with excess fuel, and that creates oxidative stress, right? Otherwise known as free radical damage, and AGEs, and it injures blood vessels, which affects the heart, kidneys, eyes, and other organs. Now, the kidneys. We could talk for the next hour about your kidneys, about how unbelievably sensitive this organ is to how much sugar is in your blood.
Terribly vulnerable.
How unbelievably sensitive this organ is to how much blood pressure is going through that incredibly sensitive tissue. So again, the damage that occurs is happening constantly and continually as your blood sugar level rises. What's next?
When you say sensitive, you're meaning the vulnerability of those tissues.
Yes.
Not just how they're responsive, but the damage that they risk.
Talk about your pancreas. Pancreas is supposed to release insulin to keep your blood sugar level in a healthy range. But when your dietary glucose load is excessive, it overworks these cells in your pancreas called beta cells, and they tire out, and look at that, they can die. And now you're in big trouble because your pancreas is making insulin, which is supposed to control the blood sugar, and those cells are, after they get overworked, they die. And there are certain things called pancreatic stem cells. There are, but as you get older, those pancreatic stem cells also are not replaced. So this is an age-related factor. This is a dietary-related factor, and all of it plays a critical role on this pancreas, which is there tucked in right next to your liver. Now, let's look at it goes on. Over time, the pancreas makes less insulin and blood sugar levels rise even more. Now the liver. We've talked about the liver a lot on this presentation because the liver is the clearinghouse for everything going on in your body in terms of your metabolism. The liver is supposed to store glucose, right? when glucose levels get high, the liver goes, okay, I think I can manage this. I'll store as much glucose as I can in the form of glycogen. And if we don't eat a lot of glucose or a lot of sugars or a lot of starches in the next meal, I can even release that glucose back into the bloodstream. So the liver is constantly giving and taking glucose, right? But if you're continually oversupplying glucose, in other words, if you have a starch or a sugar at every single meal, the liver never has a chance to get rid of any of it, right? And especially if you are what? Sedentary. Because the liver is constantly communicating with your muscles, constantly saying, hey, muscles, can I unload some of this energy? Can I unload some of this glucose so that you can use it when you work out? If the muscles say, we're not working out, boss, sorry about that. And the liver goes, oh, crap. What am I going to do? Oh, I know. I'll just stash it where? In the bloodstream. So the liver takes all that glucose, makes a molecule called the triglyceride, and throws it into the bloodstream. And of course, next time you go to your doctor takes your blood chemistry and says, oh, your triglycerides are really high. What is your doctor saying to you? You have to get off the couch. You have to lower these triglycerides. And the only way to do it is to burn them up through this thing called exercise. Now, keep going because it gets worse.
Oh
Right?
dear.
Oh, it does. Not only is the liver then have a hard time in terms of this blood sugar balance, but it makes the liver resistant to insulin, so it keeps releasing more glucose even when blood sugar level is already high. So you see now, you're in a world of hurt. And again, we're not talking about diabetes yet. We're talking about years, possibly, before you reach the state where your doctor goes, oh, crap, you're diabetic. And your doctor takes out a prescription pad, right? So, now let's talk about your kidneys. Oh, these poor, overworked, incredibly sensitive tissues in your body. They filter the blood, they remove waste, they keep important proteins and fluid in the body, and sugar damages these tiny blood vessels and all those sensitive little filters in the kidneys, and that leads to leaky filters, which means you're going to actually see protein in the urine, and that can progress to kidney disease, which is rapidly increasing around the world today. The kidney disease that we're seeing has two results or is caused by two main things, high blood pressure and high blood sugar. Now, let's talk about the good news.
The muscles?
The good news is the muscles can save the day. The muscles can save the day, but when blood sugar level stays high, the muscles are less responsive to insulin, so they take up less glucose. So even when you're exercising, your muscles are not taking glucose from the liver. Your muscles are not taking glucose from your bloodstream as they are designed to, because there is something called lipotoxicity. There is so much glucose and so much fat adjacent to those muscles that the muscles get lazy. So even with exercise, the machinery just isn't working as it must. So what can we do?
Take walks after every meal.
One idea is take walks after every single meal. It doesn't have to be a long walk. What you're doing is you're maintaining the dialogue between the muscles and the liver, and the muscles are saying, hey, liver, you asked me if I needed any more energy, and I think by the end of this walk, I'm going to need more energy. So get ready. And the liver goes, yes, I can't wait to give you some more energy. And that dialogue is critically important. So yeah, walk after every meal. Now let's look at the Zinzino approach. Should we jump into that?
Yes.
Because Zinzino has a solution. All right. What Zinzino said was, oh, this is a very, very, very serious problem. So what do? Let's take first things first with the Zinzino approach. Let's make sure that every cell in your body, now, you can write this down, you can listen to this. The Zinzino approach. Zinzino said, what can we do to help people with this incredible problem? We can make sure that every cell in their body, the cells in their blood vessels, the cells in their heart, the cells in their liver, the cells in their pancreas, the cells in their kidneys, we can make sure that every one of those cells is optimized. Their function is optimized to maximize their utilization of glucose.
So we do that by the balance test.
Thank you.
So we can see what our omega-6 to omega-3 ratio is and what our omega-3 index is, as well as looking at 11 different fats in our cell membrane.
What an amazing opportunity that is to get all that information from a single finger stick test that you can do at home. Now, look at this. And this is the AI response when I said, hey, AI, and this was Perplexity AI this morning. Hey, Perplexity, tell me about the Zinzino approach to helping restore glucose balance. And the AI said, oh, the Zinzino approach is we know that restoring a healthier omega-6 to 3 ratio, right, makes cells more responsive to insulin, reduces inflammation, and improves how tissues handle glucose. Now, you're gonna make sure that as I go through all of this, I'm never gonna use the D word. I'm never gonna say diabetes here. We're talking about how your body works, and you can talk to other people about how their body works without ever making a disease claim. So let's go into it a little bit deeper.
Structure and function.
Membrane balance and cell signaling. Omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids are built into phospholipids in the cell membrane, where they help control membrane fluidity, protein conformation, and receptor functions. So we've talked about this before. You have, 35 trillion cells in your body, give or take a couple trillion. All right. Now, those cells are incredibly dynamic. Some cells are really dynamic. Your immune cells, your pancreas cells, your liver cells, your blood. Some cells are very dynamic. In other words, there are thousands of molecules traveling in and out of that cell every single moment. I'll say it again. Take a cell in your liver or your kidneys or your heart or your brain. We're talking about thousands of molecules entering and leaving that cell every second. Incredibly dynamic. And all that molecular traffic is controlled by your cell membrane, which the function of which is determined by the ratio between omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids. So the Zinzino approach is to take care of that first, right? And then we can talk about all the other wonderful things we want you to do. We want you to increase your fiber intake. All right, that's good. Why? Because fiber slows down the delivery of glucose from the bloodstream, from your gut into your bloodstream. All right.
So xenobiotic.
Xenobiotic. We can talk exactly. We can talk about exercise, but first things first. Number one, test. Number two, balance your blood sugar. Get that ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 at least 3 to 1. Better even lower than that. All right. So what else can we do? Zinzino. What is the Zinzino approach? All right. Take a look at this. All right. Lowering the omega-6 to 3 ratio is associated with improved insulin signaling via the effects of ATK, AMPK, and PPAR gamma, which enhances glucose uptake, and overall insulin sensitivity. So what AI is saying here is that when you get your balance, when you get into balance, every cell in your body is going to work better in terms of this give and take, this flow of energy into the cell and out of the cell and the communication between cells. Inflammation and glucose, so critically important. A high omega-6 to 3 ratio produces inflammatory proteins.
We talk about high omega-6 to 3. We know that the safe zone is 3 to 1 or better. Here in the US, the average first balance test, 6 to 3, is 24 to 1. So when we're talking about high omega-6 to 3 ratio, we're looking at 99% of the globe being out of balance and having this challenge going on in their metabolism.
Chronic low-grade inflammation is a key driver of insulin resistance. Studies link lower omega-6 to 3 ratios and a higher omega-3 index to lower CRP. C-reactive protein is something that your doctor is very concerned about. And when it gets high, your doctor is going to say, hey, we have to do something about this. And why? Because CRP is a good measure of systemic inflammation.
I like that term, improved inflammatory tone.
Yeah.
Because we need to be able to create inflammation when we're injured, but we need to also
Yeah.
quell it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every time Natalie and I do any kind of blood chemistry, we always include CRP. We recommend that you do that as well. My CRP level was okay, but I want my CRP level to be what?
Less than one.
Less than one. So that was my last test. My last balance test, I was what, 1.2 to 1. And my last CRP was basically unmeasurable. It was so low, which is exactly where
Congratulations.
you want to be. Now,
Good job, Boomer.
let's keep getting good job. All right, let's talk about mitochondria, right? One of Natalie's favorite topics, right? Mitochondria, which these are what? These are the energy factories in your cell. Where are they create? How are they creating energy from what? What molecule are mitochondria using to create energy? Glucose. Your mitochondria are using glucose to make energy for your beautiful life. And when we get into balance, the mitochondria work better. Enhances mitochondrial fatty acid oxidation. In other words, that's a fancy word to say they are making energy. And increase mitochondrial uncoupling, which means they're making even more energy by reducing intracellular lipid overload and oxidative stress. It is a more favorable omega 6 to 3 pattern, preserves insulin signaling, and promotes more efficient peripheral glucose disposal. More efficient peripheral glucose disposal. What's peripheral? It means outside of the cell. Where exactly is this glucose being disposed?
In the muscles.
In your muscles. Wonderful. All right, so fine. Cell membrane dynamics. The omega 63 balance determines, look at that word. The omega 63 balance determines the structure and function of membrane proteins involved in exocytosis. What does that mean? Simply means that cell is now exporting proteins that are required to do all kinds of other things, including hormones and neurotransmitter release. So we're talking neurotransmitters where? In your brain, right? So the omega 63 balance determines the function of the membrane proteins that are involved in all this molecular traffic, not only in your hormones, because your cell is exporting a hormone which binds to a receptor somewhere else in your body, right? And creates an incredibly important function, as well as the neurotransmitters, that is the communication between neurons in your beautiful brain. Finally, omega-3 rich membranes support more flexible fusion, pore dynamics, and healthier beta cell and adipose signaling environments, which can indirectly improve insulin secretion patterns and adipokine profiles relevant to glucose balance.
Or
All
said more
that,
simply, getting the nutrients in, the waste out, and improving overall cellular energy. Yeah.
love it. So there you have it. You have the problem and you have the solution. Now, we're going to be talking now about a test that gives you even more information about this critical function.
Yes, and so it's the hemoglobin A1C test from Zinzino, and I'm gonna spotlight Susan here. Let me see. Susan, so tell us about um, working with this test, what that's been like for you.
Oh, okay. Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for reviewing my test. I'm really grateful to be able to share that and help me understand it. And I kind of got that influence from Art Napolitano and Stacy when they shared their results and got some great insights and a game plan. And so that's what I wanted to do, is have a game plan for my health. And your last Zoom on December 22nd was so wonderful about the entire process of glucose and what that does in metabolic health, that I really made a decision that I wanted to really dig deep and understand how it all works. So that was one factor that contributed to me taking the HbA1C. And I remember from one of your Zooms that you mentioned the importance of retesting like every 6 months to keep an eye on what's happening. So that's another thing I wanted to do. And with Art and Stacy sharing their results, it made me realize how important it is to have a game plan. So I went ahead and found a gym that has things that work for my schedule so I can make physical activity a priority because I understand that's really important. And then also paying attention to the foods that I am eating for good metabolic health. I found a plan that's helping me really decrease those sugars, and I'm already feeling much better. So my experience has been incredible, and especially with all the information that the third-party lab does for Zinzino, with all the ways that they have to isolate the important factors that lead to overall better health and better cellular integrity. So that's what I'm really excited about. So thank you both so much.
Well said. So let me go ahead and pull up your results here, this beautiful 8-page report. And we see that you received an overall health score that was very high at 84%. Congratulations.
Ding, 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 ding.
And
thank you.
yeah. And we see that your hemoglobin your HbA1c result was 33 millimoles per mole, which here in the US we would say 5.2%.
Nice.
And so, yes, congratulations. And when we look at things like the overall health score that Zinzino has given you, it's related not only to this hemoglobin A1C result, but also the information that you shared about your family history, your blood pressure medication, whether you take that or not, your age, your body mass index, which of course is calculated from height and weight, and waist circumference. So those were all played an important part of creating this thing called
Wonderful. So it's not just an HB1AC, A1C. This is a lifestyle plus those numbers. Wonderful.
This is more valuable than me just getting a HbA1c from my doctor.
Yeah.
Because it's really personalized.
Yeah.
Oh, and Frenna has a question.
Wow.
Are all HbA1c tests similar? Does Zinzino one differ in any way from one doctor generally would do? Exactly. That's what I am pointing out. My doctor would not ask me these 24 questions and then create an assessment
Right.
to think about
Right.
what I would score in different
No,
subjects.
the conventional doctor would simply look at your A1C, and if it was over 5.7, they would say, "Oh, take out your prescription pad and write you a prescription for something that's going to, deal with that." There would be no lifestyle diet and exercise recommendations, man. You're entirely right.
So thank you for pointing that out, Frenna. And then as we continue on, based on those 24 pages that you answered questions on, congratulations that you got green, which is high metabolic support.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh, good. Thank you. Yay.
Yeah. And also for immune support. And as I looked at these, I thought about what products you also shared with them that you were taking. So when we think about metabolic support, we think about, of course, the balanced products with the potent omega-3 fatty acids and olive polyphenols attached to them. The Extend, the Xenobiotic. And so again, important choices that you've been making for metabolic support. Immune support, 77%. So that can go along with taking Protect, taking Extend.
Exactly.
Of course, balanced products because they help every cell of the body. Brain support was high. And we can think about how our brains are benefiting from the products of the Zinzino Balance products, the Viva. I love Viva. Viva. But also our brains love Extend. And so you're giving yourself good support in those ways as well. Gut health support, Xenobiotic, the omega-3 balance products, and gut support can also come from, as we've been talking in our discussions, from curcumin. So if you're on Xenogene or X Gold, even the Viva has good gut support benefits. So these all play a role in that. And then bone and joint support. The questionnaire asks if you're taking Xenoshine, and I'm thinking that you probably are not taking Xenoshine. Am I right about that?
Actually, I am, but I haven't been taking it a real long time, but 2 or 3 months. I do have it on subscription now, so I am taking that. And I also do take the X Gold as well, too. And I also, in addition, the phycocyanin. I try to take everything I possibly can because they're all so good and they all work.
I kept track of my answers when I did this test today because I thought, wow, I'll be adding stuff on, and when I get the report back, I want to remember what I said I was taking. So you get green as a good pointing out that you're already taking your balance products, you're taking your xenobiotic, you're taking your extend, and then they recommended, based on what you had suggested, adding protect, doing a vitamin D test, and congratulations that you're supporting your body with xenobiotic, balance products, extend, lean shake as well. So that's interesting. Yeah, I'd forgotten that
Oh, great. Yeah,
shake.
I did do the vitamin D test as well, too. So I've got that going.
Wonderful.
Brilliant. So you can plug these numbers all in at zenotest.com, and it will create a personalized history for you of where you've been and where you're going, which is really nice.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you
You're welcome.
so much.
You're welcome. And then congratulations that you are good on your diet. And like me, you have some sweets in your diet, and you have some fish and some vegetables and fruit, and you salt your food apparently. I'm guessing that's why they gave you the yellows. Is that true?
Oh, yeah, probably so. I'm trying to not do the extra salt thing so much. And I, with this new eating plan that I'm on, I'm cutting out sugars, any added sugars for 3 weeks to get the taste buds reoriented. So
Really?
that's another goal.
Really? And I'm thinking, no, you do not do soft drinks, so you got a green for that.
Yeah, I don't.
Great. And you're good on your whole grain intake. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. I got the oatmeal vibe from you guys. That was great.
Nice, nice. All right, physical activity, good. So congratulations on that. And we know that you're changing this. You're starting weight training, which is wonderful.
Mhm.
Yeah, it doesn't take a lot. We talk a lot about, if you walk into our home, you're going to see barbells literally scattered around the house, and they talk to us. Every time you walk by one, it says, "Pick me up, lift me, raise me over your head," and so we do. It doesn't take much. That little bit of effort, I mean, literally, a couple of reps, a couple times a day, can do wonders for you because, again, you're restoring the dialogue between the muscles and the liver, and the muscles and the liver, and we cannot overemphasize the value of exercise in this because that's the only place that this glucose can go.
Mhm.
Only tissue in your body that's utilizing this glucose. I mean, the major utilization is your muscles, and then your second major utilization is your brain. And you can't make your brain bigger, right? And as Natalie says, just because my brain is active doesn't mean my muscles are active, right?
My brain is racing, but my muscles aren't.
Well, thank you so much for that. Just a couple reps, I can do that. Oh my goodness.
Yep.
So I really appreciate that.
He did reps before our meeting today. Yeah.
Well done.
Yes, thank you, Susan. Thank you for that. Frenna has discovered some important information about how we take our balance oil. And Frenna, you were speaking a little bit about this before we started our recording today. Would you like to share what you discovered regarding taking the balance oil and the timing and how you manage that with the other products?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, well, I'm a vegetarian, so when I had, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
I want to
Yes.
let you hear if I can.
So my first test result was pretty poor. It was 19-1. And after 4 months, I was 1.36-1.
Wow.
And so when I did my gut test, I thought, oh, I've got to do my balance test as well. And in actual fact, I was more concerned about the result of my balance test than I was my gut test. I was quite happy with my gut test. But although I'd improved with my balance test, it was only 0.3, so to 3.3 to 1. And I thought, yeah, exactly. Now on this well over a year, why isn't it better? Why aren't I less than 3 to 1? And I discovered, in talking to AI actually, that the regime I put myself on was not good for absorbing EPA, because what I noticed, my DHA was good. It was well over the mark, but not the EPA. And in talking to AI, I discovered is I wasn't facilitating bile because I was taking the balance oil with a lean shake and fruit. So there was no flat fat. So I wasn't stimulating any bile to help that EPA be absorbed. So that intrigued me. And I did a much bigger dive following that on when you take different products. And it does make a difference. So that's why I thought I'd share it with you.
So what new way do you take it now?
Now, I started taking it in the evening with my evening meal, but I've reverted after talking to another AI. I'm going back to my old regime. But what I'm going to do is after I've had my shake, I'm going to have a snack with fat in it. So cheese or yogurts or olives or whatever, so that then I can take balance oil in the morning like I like to do.
Wonderful. Frenna, thank you so much for that. And let me just review really quickly what bile does. The presence of fatty acids in the gut quickly signals the production of bile, which is going to be coming from the liver to the gallbladder and then into the gut. And what that bile does is it takes these very large, the fats that we consume, whether it's from full fat dairy, whether it's from olive oil on your salad, whether it's from the fatty fish that you have as the main course of your meal, any of those fats, as they appear in the gut, they are large globules, way too big to be absorbed into your bloodstream. The function of lipase enzymes from the pancreas and bile from the gallbladder are to break those large globules down into very, 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 very small molecules called micelles. And those small molecules can be transported directly from the gut into the bloodstream, which is why Frenna found that when she used her balance oil with a meal containing a sufficient amount of fat, she got better absorption than she was getting before. So that's all. Frenna, thank you for helping us with that, for being such a great guinea pig and so eager to do your research. Bravo to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so so I did my hemoglobin A1C and a balance test today. So I wanted to share with people what to expect when they do the 24-page questionnaire for the hemoglobin A1C.
Wonderful.
All right, start here. All right, so the first one is you got to get your tape measure. It's one of those.
Okay.
And then get your previous ID codes. So if you have done a balance test before in the last 6 months or a vitamin D test in the last 6 months. And I hadn't done either of those in the last 6 months, which is why I decided to grab the balance test. All right. What country are you from? Age, weight, height. Thank you for measuring me. Measuring the abdominal circumference, which really correlates well to a lot of metabolic issues. Yep. My sex. And I have a brother that's been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. It's actually on both sides of my family as well. And no blood pressure medication. And yes, I'm taking a lot of Zinzino products. And I am taking Protect. I went back and added that, and you'll see that. But Balance products, Xenobiotic, the Extend. Oops. So it doesn't ask for all the products that are available. Right. And it doesn't ask for all the products that would really make a difference, but it asks for these products. And then because I don't have my results from my balance test, that's reassuring that when they get that information, they
That would
will
be
compile it.
incorporated.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, that was very reassuring. No vitamin D test. Because we gave it as a gift to a friend. And then servings of fruits and vegetables. And then thank you again, because I know I would not get as much as I do in my diet if it weren't for having you as our chef. So thank you for that. And then oily fish, we have that, I was thinking at least 3 times a week.
At least 3 times.
Yeah. And I do use table salt. It goes along with.
But normally you use potassium chloride.
I do. I use both because I have a history of being low in both potassium and sodium because of my adrenal fatigue stuff.
And I'm sorry, in case you're wondering, wait, Natalie uses potassium chloride instead of sodium chloride? Yes, she uses something called new salt, which is a combination of potassium and sodium chloride. So, yeah.
Helps prevent my leg spasms and leg cramps too. All right, exercise. Love to go to the gym.
Yeah.
Zumba. We take walks after almost every meal, so that's important. And then I do work with a trainer, and I'm happy that I'm getting stronger. And yeah, we spend at least 30 minutes a day, not only in walks, but in other activity too. And I've never smoked, thank goodness. And yes, I do have a sedentary job. And then alcohol. We went dry January 1st, and we're staying dry, which is
last year. January 1st, 2025.
Right. Yes. Chocolate is a problem, but at least I'm aware of it. And so when someone offers me a cookie, I say, no, I'm having chocolate later.
And by the way, when she says chocolate, she doesn't mean like a Mars bar. We're talking about dark chocolate in moderation.
Yes.
And the cocoa polyphenols, by the way, are very valuable.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't drink soda at all, and I rarely have fruit juices. So again, I'm saving it for the chocolate. Whole grain foods. I actually should have put 5 to 7 days because I forgot about the oatmeal.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, it's a good thing I kept track of my answers because yes, I did want a notification. So that's what to expect when you fill out the questionnaire, which is all really useful. Great. All right. So let's see. Does anyone have any questions for us today? I think you had a question that came in.
There's a question came in about what do we think about the continuous glucose monitors that are being heavily advertised all over social media. And it's because the technology has become available so that you can get a continuous, that is a real-time read on your blood glucose by putting one of these devices on your arm.
And it's just getting easier and easier because you and I first did this 13 years ago.
Yes.
And, it was that big. And we put it on our bellies, and it was awkward.
It was awkward and painful.
Yes.
Because the old monitor, well, we don't go into that. The old monitors literally had to be inserted under your skin, and so that was very painful. These new monitors are very, very sensitive. They don't include any needles into your skin, into the fatty area of your skin, and so they're really, the technology has improved so dramatically. We looked at a lot of different ones. The one I like the most is by Abbott Labs. We like that company. We like what they're doing in the world. And the monitor that they're marketing right now is called Lingo, Lingo. Now, the thing is, you don't need one of these all the time. If you want to use one of these devices, the Lingo device you can get a starting program that is a 2-week monitor for about $50. You can get a 4-week monitor for about $89. And quite frankly, I think that's about all you need because it's going to give you a good sense of how your diet and exercise is affecting your blood sugar level. So do we like these? Yes. Are we going to get one? Probably we will, just because we're infomaniacs. We just like collecting information. So we probably will do that, even though my glucose A1C was fine, my blood sugar level fasting is fine. we'll probably get one of these devices just because we want to play with it. And we'll report on that as we move forward.
The experience.
Yes, the
Yes.
experience. And quite frankly, I've always said that if somebody was wearing one of these glucose monitors and you're going out to dinner with your friends, and at the end of your dinner, most restaurants are going to what? They're going to come along with a cart with cakes and pastries and all these sweet desserts, right? They literally come to your table with that cart. And so what you would normally do is say, what do I want? Well, if you had one of these monitors, you would simply take out your phone, your cell phone, and you would say, hold on, let me check. And you would literally get a reading in your hand of what your blood sugar level was at that moment. And you would then say to the waiter, oh, no thanks. Because you've got information right there saying, no, you don't need any more glucose. So we think that this can affect your behavior. Again, if people knew better, they would do better. So this is one of those times where we think we're heading towards an era when everyone will have the opportunity to know exactly what their blood sugar level is after exercise, before a meal, and after a meal, because those are critical. Now, speaking of which, after a meal, what is the A1C test measuring?
So it's measuring how sugar-coated the hemoglobin is, that amount of frosting, right? And so on Susan's results, 5.2% of her hemoglobin has frosting. It's like it has a little jacket on, right?
And when it's frosted, as Natalie says, it can't carry oxygen. So there's a real problem there, right?
Yep, it interferes with its ability to function.
Yeah.
And so I like that the hemoglobin A1C test gives us a good idea about if there's been sugar spiking problems, which, if you're not wearing a glucose monitor, how do you know if that's happening, right?
It's completely silent.
Poking your finger, But the hemoglobin A1C or HbA1C looks at the last 3 months, and because of the way that the hemoglobin and red blood cells turn over, right? And then when we think about how often should we get the hemoglobin A1C test, you could get it as often as every 3 months, but Zinzino recommends in their report to do it annually.
I like that. Yeah. All right.
All right.
Wonderful.
Well, any other thoughts or questions, Susan? Oh, thank you. Oh, yes. So many thanks to Susan Magill. Many thanks to Frenna for sharing your stories and your information. And we look forward to seeing everyone next year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy healthy you.
Happy healthy you. Thanks all for spending some time with us. We look forward again to seeing you and ushering in the new year with our resolutions to what? Exercise more, monitor your intake of sweets, because this is a critical, important factor. Stay with the Zinzino program. Watch what happens in 2026 relating to all of these wonderful dietary factors and all these biomarkers that we're following. Why? Because if people knew better, they would do better.
Innovation.
Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Thank you,
everyone.
See you next year.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Bye-bye.
Bye.